All right, guys, so we were talking about demand yesterday, and we were talking about particularly the law of demand, the things that cause it to occur. First, we're going to talk about the substitution effect. I know y'all listed those out yesterday. The substitution effect helps if the little clicky thing's on. Or not.
Teachers, part of the interruption, please send any student with a last name starting with R or S to the cafeteria with a pencil. Any ninth grader with the last name starting with R or S.
Okay, so we're probably going to get some interruptions like that. We're glad that ninth graders can register for their classes. My little clicker is not working today, so I'll have to go back and forth. A substitution effect. Essentially, if the price goes up for a product, for instance, Monster energy drinks, consumers buy less of that product. Why?
It's expensive.
It's taking more of their resources for that product, right? And then they'll buy a substitute, like a Rockstar energy drink, I guess. Okay? It's still the same type of item, but if the Monsters go up, we'll buy another kind of energy drink. Or maybe we'll just start buying black coffee. Okay? So that's what the substitution effect is. The classic example is Coke versus Pepsi. However, to me that is a flawed example because that assumes that Coke and Pepsi, you get the equal amount of enjoyment or utility out of them. And everybody knows that Pepsi is disgusting. All right, so anyway, another good example of the substitution effect might be a hamburger versus a chicken sandwich, particularly if you think, say, maybe McDonald's. They used to have something called the McDouble and the Spicy McChicken. They used to be on the value meal, and they used to cost the same amount, right? Okay, well, at one point, there was a fear or a shortage of beef, okay? So what happened to the price of the McDouble, the hamburger? It went up like 30 cents. So what happened to sales? What happened to sales of the McDouble? The quantity demanded of McDoubles went down. But the quantity demanded of Spicy McChickens actually went up because now the Spicy McChicken was the substitute that was cheaper than the McDouble.
That's literally the best thing at McDonald's.
All right. So I literally have not eaten at a McDonald's in years, other than a sausage biscuit or something like that. So I don't really have a frame of reference as to what's on their menu anymore. All right, so then we've got the income effect. The income effect is actually tied to marginal utility. If the price goes down for a product, the purchasing power increases for consumers, allowing them to purchase more. Okay? So if the price drops on something, say, well, gasoline might be a good example. Okay? Now, gasoline fluctuates a whole lot, right?
Yeah.
Okay? But, particularly maybe during the pandemic, the gas prices went down a good bit, right? Because there just wasn't much demand for it. Okay, well, I, drive a large SUV because I need a bus to haul my family around in. Okay, well, when gas is cheaper, I'm more willing to go for more drives, right? Because I can buy more gas. Okay? But the thing is, the income effect, if the price goes down for a product, the purchasing power increases for consumers, allowing them to purchase more. Also the same thing. What happens if your income goes up?
You buy more.
You are actually willing to pay a higher price for things. Okay? So, consumer income, it can adjust demand. So, any questions about substitution effect, income effect? Okay? That's quite all right.
Carlos, go back for 2 seconds.
Go back for 2 seconds.
I'm almost done. I just missed the last part.
I can make it look like it's on.
Okay, I'm good, thank you.
Good?
Yeah, I just need to make sure.
All right, so let's look at the law of diminishing marginal utility, which I think I talked about that using a McDonald's reference too. Didn't I talk about the 29-cent hamburger?
Man, you're
Oh,
making
yeah.
Okay, I know, we all need to go to McDonald's now. Maybe we could DoorDash it.
Yeah, did you?
Uber Eats, maybe, I don't know.
Service, I can't DoorDash.
No, I won't let you. You've been asking for a whole semester.
Speaking of food,
It's breakfast time. We couldn't get a McDonald's cheeseburger right now.
Yes,
How do you know?
No, because it's
Oh,
a
it's
breakfast
breakfast.
menu. Now we could get McGriddles.
Okay, so can we
Yeah.
order McGriddles?
All right, so
They started-
no, they don't. They really
When was
don't.
the last time you tried?
I know you don't fight McDonald's. Yes.
They'll spit in your food.
Are we still doing cake day on Friday?
Not this Friday. We'll do it when we go back to government. We'll figure
next
out.
week?
We'll get there. Don't worry, we'll have cake day. Sorry, friends at home, you'll miss out on cake day.
Well,
All right. So now let's talk about utility. Remember, utility in economics, that means your satisfaction. Okay. How much utility did you get out of that Monster drink this morning?
I'm awake.
You're awake, so you had enjoyment, or your $15 smoothie back there.
Also got like
Okay.
dopamine,
All right.
$15.
Okay.
a little bit of
It's not
serotonin.
$15, it's like $8.
All right. So anyway, we buy goods because we get utility from them. That's why we buy goods. Okay. When the snack cart comes by, you know, you might spend $10 buying Famous Amos cookies and hot chips. I don't know. But you do that because you get some utility out of it. How many of you have ever maybe overbought from the snack cart? Where you're like, oh, this is good, but on bag number 4 of hot chips, you're thinking, how many of you have ever kind of gotten your fill and then given away the remainder of the hot chips or the cookies or whatever? All right, that is a perfect example of diminishing marginal utility. You may have had buyer's remorse at that point. It's like, dang, why did I spend that extra $1? Because now I've got a stomach ache. Okay? Basically, the law of diminishing marginal utility says that as you consume anything, additional satisfaction that you receive eventually starts to decrease. Okay? Think of it. You know, eating that food. Maybe eating those little Famous Amos cookies. You know, they're little. You can eat a bunch of them, but there's a point where you don't want any more of those cookies. Okay? They then no longer have utility to you. Yes?
Does this law apply to yard sale?
This applies to, everything. Why is stuff so cheap at a yard sale?
Because they don't want to use it anymore.
Because it's their crap that they're getting rid of, right? If they valued it, it wouldn't be at a tag sale in the front yard, right? Okay? And does everybody know the best time to go to a yard sale?
Fall.
When it is about to end.
Yeah,
They don't want to put that stuff back. They don't want to load it up and haul it to Goodwill. Just make them an offer. Yeah, you'll end up with getting some junk, but you can get a good deal that way. All right, it's because the diminished, obviously, as the time spent on that yard sale, the utility of being out there goes down too, right? So, okay, in other words, the more you buy of any good, the less satisfaction you get from each new unit consumed. You know, if I own 30 cars, you know, do I get as much satisfaction out of number 31?
Maybe. Depends on what car it is.
It might depend on what car it is. Do I value each car as much as I do the one car that I own?
Depends on what car.
Like
it is.
right now.
If it's the only one that runs.
Do you also do that with your kids?
We don't buy and sell children, so.
That we should.
Who don't?
No. All right, so what does this have to do with the law of demand? What does this have to do with the law of demand? Why is diminishing marginal utility happen?
What is that?
What does this have to do with the law of demand? Remember, the law of demand states that there's an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. In other words, the higher the price, the less we're willing to pay, or the less we're willing to buy of that item. Okay? Well, this does have to do with that because diminishing marginal utility. Okay. will we get enough satisfaction to pay that higher price? That's what it comes down to. Okay? And if we're not going to give up that money, because then we'll spend that money on something that will give us value. Okay? I don't know. Maybe think of the toilet paper shortage that we had back a few months ago. Okay? The gas station on the corner by my house was selling, the what people usually refer to as the John Wayne toilet paper, the single ply, commercial grade that's in public restrooms, that kind of thing. They were selling 4 of those rolls for $10. Okay? No, like normal size rolls, not the big, not the gigantic ones. Okay? People were buying them. This people was not buying them, but people were buying them because, that got them satisfaction. Now, that satisfaction might have been the assurance that, hey, they can wipe after going to the restroom or something like that. But, like right now, would people pay that price for that toilet paper?
I don't know, maybe.
No.
What they want.
And think about it. As the price goes up, quantity demanded goes down. Okay? And as the Charmin started rolling into Kroger, then that gas station may have been stuck with those rolls.
You never notice how
Or
much-
actually, they probably just put them back in their storeroom to stock their public restrooms with. Because I firmly believe that's what they did, was like, hey, we got a case of toilet paper. But people bought it. And I actually know people who bought it from there. It's like, if you needed toilet paper, all you had to do was ask.
So what about
Anyway.
scalpers?
What?
Scalpers, like business.
Scalpers of toilet paper.
Scalpers on toilet paper? I mean, there were.
A lot.
Are you talking? Most people are talking, when they're talking about scalpers, they're talking about like computer parts and stuff right now.
Oh my god.
But-
I'm angry.
Well, I mean, is it a scalper? I mean, they're taking a risk. They're being an entrepreneur. They're buying it up and then flipping it. It's no different from me buying a beat up car, polishing it up, and selling it for a profit.
You put labor in it. They're literally they're creating an artificial shortage so they can get more money.
Okay,
on what they
we
want.
just talked about it. Learn history.
Learn.
That's exactly what Jay Fisk and Jay Gould and Jim Fisk did in the 19th century.
With what?
Learn history, kids. All right, so also, how does this affect pricing of businesses? How does this affect the pricing of businesses?
Well, I guess they'd have to be careful with how they price things, like as far as pricing them too high, because then people will be like, "No, I don't want it." Or did we move on?
No, we're
All
good.
right.
Yeah, you're
It's
good.
like what Dunkin' did with their sweet tea. It's not $1.06 anymore for a large sweet tea. It's $2.49, and now we throw away so much.
Now you don't sell tea, right?
That actually
No.
good.
Or why did,
I
well,
like tea.
I hate to go back to McDonald's, but why are large drinks $1 at McDonald's and medium and small drinks more?
Medium and small drinks are
Yes.
$1 too.
I mean, for a while they were.
Oh.
For a while, only the large was. Or Sonic has the morning happy hour or whatever. Why do they do that? Because the quantity demanded increases as the price decreases. Now, how many people just go to Sonic in the morning and buy a drink? Now, they're going to get those French toast sticks or whatever, okay? Or it ends up being impulse buys. They're going to make more money off of it. And by the way, the drinks are the cheapest thing. Although the tea is more expensive because you actually have to put labor into it. One day Sonic will go to fountain tea and it'll be bad. But anyway.
But on their app, they have half-price drinks.
Okay, yeah. And again, that's also an incentive to get you to use the app because they can track things better that way. All right, so here we have Disneyland. Yay. All right, now, granted, the person who made this PowerPoint lives in San Diego, so Disneyland is a relevant thing for them. We should probably change ours to Disney World. Has anybody ever been to Disney World?
I got lost there.
Okay, Disney World is an extensive place. It's also an expensive place. Okay, so basically here you're looking at your 3-day, 4-day, 5-day tickets. So now this is per day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, price is per day. So you're like, wow, 3 days, only $93? That's like 30. No, that's not how it works.
No, it's not.
Okay, why why is it more expensive for 2 days?
Because the
Because
law.
whatever
All
you just
the
said, like.
diminishing
like-
utility.
Mm-hmm. And look, that's like a 1 day pass. Whew. Yeah. All right. So what is this encouraging people to do?
Spend more time.
Dang, let's spend a whole week at Disneyland. Okay. Whoop whoop. All right, and it includes a magic morning.
I don't know what that is.
Magic morning, essentially, magic hours is when you get to enter the park early, so you don't have to wait in line so long. So, all right. So again, we can see this in just about all amusement parks. You know, back when we had amusement parks, they did that with their pricing.
Disney
All right. So can you see it in that pricing strategy? Absolutely.
Hold on,
Okay.
wait, don't do it yet, I wanna calculate.
You're calculating the per day price.
So it's like, it's also like how Kroger says, like, you know, you buy a certain amount of stuff and then they'll give you a certain amount of discount.
That's right. Like buy 5 and save $5 at Kroger. You know, have y'all seen that? I don't know how many of y'all grocery
Yes.
shop. Okay, or buy one get one
My
free.
mom will spend so much extra money for no reason. She's like, we're saving. No, you weren't gonna buy that before.
Yeah, that's $320. Okay, but that's $320. But if you go for 3 days, you're spending almost $300. So what's 2 more days? And actually, you're going to spend a lot more money on food, you know, for that time. So they're going to make money off of it. I guarantee you. All right, I'm going to flip the thing. All right, so let's graph demand. Yay, a second graph, guys. Aren't y'all excited? Okay. All right, so a demand curve is a graphical representation of a demand schedule. Remember, the schedules are the charts. So if I ask you for a curve or a graph, don't write a chart. Okay? Also, the demand curve is downward sloping. D equals down. Demand curve is downward sloping. You are not going to have a horizontal demand.
What if I want to?
You're also never, ever, ever, ever going to have a horizontal production possibilities curve.
Why not?
How would that work?
What are you comparing if you have a horizontal line?
Nothing. I have a monopoly.
You have infinite resources on one side?
Yeah.
No. What is the first law of economics? All resources are what? Scarce.
What if
All right.
it gets where they're not scarce?
When we read, now listen, remember we talked about ceteris paribus the other day? When we read a demand curve, all other outside factors are held constant, okay? Now, in economics, they'll give us a scenario that may adjust that, but they adjust that one and everything else is constant. It's called ceteris paribus. So we're going to draw a demand curve for milk.
From milk. Oh, for milk.
Okay, every graph in economics starts with what?
Milk.
An X, Y axis.
There's no Z
No, there's no Z axis.
I'm
Right. Not
And
Somebody read.
What?
This somebody did. I mean.
All right. So we got an X, Y axis. Vertical axis, price. Always. Forever and ever. Amen. Horizontal axis, quantity. Forever and ever, amen. It's also the same for supply, which these graphs overlap, so it'll be cool. Is everybody good here?
No.
How many of you wrote, let's draw a new demand curve for milk?
No,
In your notes.
I'm on the second bullet, so.
Oh.
what?
Wow.
Where's your
He writes
laptop?
slow.
Good question.
Look how slow he's writing.
Okay, he got brain freeze from the smoothie.
No, it's him right.
Have a little bit of compassion.
No, he always writes it
I mean, if
slow.
you freeze the slow
Okay.
brain, then what do you-
Anyway, quit roasting people onto video.
Please, guys.
Oh, so would that make a distractor?
All right. I will call it a negative externality. Okay.
That's a big word.
Are we good now? Don't worry, you're gonna learn it. Are we good? All in? Done? Moving on. Woo. All right, so here you go. Milk.
Why is that
It's
one
good.
Milk.
Actually, that's Walmart milk, so not that good.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kind of watery.
Why is it like almost looking like it's chocolate?
It's Oreo milk.
Okay, it's
Light
shady.
Oreo milk.
Okay.
It's
All right, so there's a demand schedule. Remember, a demand schedule is in fact a chart. Go ahead and put that in your notes.
Also,
Okay? Then I want you to graph it. Now, which way is the demand curve going to go? Not down.
I think I got a piece of paper.
Yes, down. But I want you to say downward sloping. Downward sloping.
Downward slowly.
Because if you just say down, somebody's going to draw a horizontal line down here. Okay, so I want you to graph the points. Okay, granted, if you're using your laptop, this may be a little more difficult for you. You do have to get in the practice of actually drawing graphs with a pen because we're going to be taking AP exams in person this year.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Did you just say ooh?
yes.
Online ones are you?
Hey, last year's online macro test. This year's will be good.
I made a 5 on my AP side.
That's good.
I will not.
All right, y'all ready for it?
No,
6
hold
AP
on,
exams.
I'm just going to put the curve up there, guys.
Whoa, go back. Go back. I gotta draw the milk.
Yo,
I didn't draw the milk.
come on, man.
Find some clip art of the milk jug and put it in if you
Go
need
back.
to.
Go back,
I
please.
can't
All right.
find clip art if I'm on the paper.
All right. Okay, guys. So we have a downward sloping curve, okay? Now remember, vertical is price, then quantity. Now the way it's done there, price of milk, quantity of milk. You can just put PQ and then just write milk up here, okay? Because what that's showing is we are graphing the demand for in the milk market, okay? Everybody warm and fuzzy? Yay, demand. Right. Y'all ready to shift it?
Hold on, man.
Go.
Slow down.
All right. I can't slow down. We had a discussion about dreamers and the environment. We got to roll.
Oh yeah.
Right.
No.
Literally, you write the numbers, then you use your
Teachers, please
skills
send all 9th grade students
from
letters
math
saying
class
teach
to
you
graph
to
points.
the cafeteria this time with the pencil, letters saying teach you or these 9th grade students to the cafeteria with the pencil.
Much money, that's one time. Yeah, I'm a 9th grader.
Okay.
Wait, don't you get like
Yeah,
freshman
that
next
was
year
a
though?
bit disgusting, but whatever.
I don't want to
Wait.
talk about it. What's your graph?
Oh.
I don't want to talk about
I probably don't know.
Yes. Yes. What's that?
Okay. Continue.
I really don't. What's the long tail on that one?
it.
Okay, good. Dakota, you got it? Good, good. You missed that point.
I understand.
What's your graph? Let me guess.
Good.
Looks good? Looks good?
I have
Good,
this
good.
graph.
I goofed.
What is that?
Bro, I-
Only mine, I goofed.
Good job, good job. Destiny, where's your graph?
We're
Look
graphing.
at that, she did it on her computer. Try to make your curve, yeah, just one, nice.
Bottom and top one.
In color and everything.
Yes.
Chris, what you got, man?
If I make
Oh,
my
yeah,
notes
look at
color
that color
coded, they're
coded.
more appealing to look at.
Pinky green? Oh, you use paint to do yours. Good. Because then you can do third one. All right? Fill in the line. Okay, now remember, guys. Okay, yeah, I mean, that looks good.
Just gonna skip over my perfect graph like this.
Well, I'm surprised you didn't use paint.
Because paint's annoying. I prefer to do the graph.
Can I borrow this just for a second?
I could never do this. So I just created this. I can't do
If this looks like your graph, send me a message. This is not right. All right, so, okay, guys, it looks like we've grasped it pretty good. Chris, it doesn't have to be perfect. I know it's the okay. I know some of you are trying to create beautiful pieces of art. Good job. All right, so Destiny, what did you use? Create table or create graph or something? Chart, put the graph in, okay, but Paint worked good for Will, so you can use these wonderful laptops for this too. All right, so let's shift demand. All right, now I told you one of the key terms you need to know is ceteris paribus, all other things held constant, okay? We'll use that throughout our study of macroeconomics, okay? When that assumption is dropped, movement no longer occurs along the demand curve. Rather than that, the entire curve moves. Now I want to remind you, I'll draw, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I will draw a downward sloping curve. Okay?
I can't see.
It's not as beautiful as y'all's, because y'all did very good on that, or very well. All right, so each point on your graph is a quantity demanded. Okay? That tells us exactly how much people are willing and able to purchase of an item at that price level. Okay? Okay? Now, if there's a change in quantity demanded, it is a movement along the curve. What changes quantity demanded? Price changes quantity demanded. I want you to write that in your notes. Okay?
Can you say it again?
Price changes quantity demanded. If there's a change in price, that is a movement along the curve. Okay? So price leads to a movement along the curve, not a shift. And then I want you to write, price does not shift demand. Price does not shift demand. It moves quantity demanded. And the reason it doesn't shift demand, you don't have to write this down, but remember we said that demand is the amount that buyers are willing and able to buy at all prices, right?
Oh, can you repeat that one for them minutes again?
Which that demand is the amount that buyers are willing and able to buy at all prices. That's why it's a line. Okay? And each little point on the line represents a single price. And that is a quantity demanded.
Price changes quantity demanded.
Yes.
Okay.
And then price does not shift demand. It is not a shifter of demand. That is one of the biggest things that people early on in economics get mixed up. Okay, I'm going to put a couple more bullet points up and then I'll address it, okay?
That's weird.
And that's essentially just saying what I said, just in a different way.
Okay.
If you don't like what I said, write that down.
No.
And
Nice one, Chris.
You can't read.
Bro's like,
Why?
What did it say?
Are you gonna
Oh, you
explain
gonna tell
why?
I just did.
Prices and
price changes
curve.
quantity demand. I thought you
What
had
shifts the
this.
curve? It's much like the production possibilities curve.
There's shifters.
There's shifters, but they're tied to resources.
It's weird though because I feel like there'd be less demand if something costs $100.
Can you put
There is, but that's quantity demanded. I'm sorry?
Can you put prices and shift the curve on there one more time? I didn't see it the other 90 times.
Okay,
Thank you.
there we go. All right, does everybody understand this? This is a fundamental thing that can really mess you up on the test. If you put for shifter of demand price, it's just wrong. It's just wrong. Price changes the quantity demanded. Okay? For instance, like I said, remember I said, hey, I would be willing to buy a Bugatti, right?
But you're not able to.
I'm not able to right now. But what if I was able to?
Then you would probably.
then I'd buy
That's what you
it. So
mean.
that tells me what might increase my demand for a Bugatti. What am I lacking? Yeah, okay, you're doing the motion, but say what it is. Money. If my income goes up, what happens to my demand for things like Bugattis? It's higher. Now, granted, I'm a teacher, so my income would have to go up. There'd have to be like an exponent or something in there for that to happen. Okay? But think about it. I'm willing to buy a Bugatti right now. I'm just not able to. Okay?
Wait, so
You let me borrow your Bugatti? I appreciate that. A loan? All right. Yes, question.
So when you say price change, quantity, do you mean like it's gonna change the sloping of it? No, like
No. It's literally a movement down that line.
it's just within.
It's just the points. Okay, so think the points. All right, so what if the news says, hey, milk makes you smarter?
There'll be a higher demand for milk.
What happens to the demand for milk?
It goes up. People buy more milk.
That's going to increase. Why?
Because they want to be smart.
No. Because essentially now people would say, maybe I should buy a little milk. Maybe I should stop drinking Monster drinks and drink milk.
I drink so much milk.
Milk kills me.
All right, but think about it. This is a change in tastes, right? This is a change in taste. It's also like, I don't know, some celebrity wears some specific kind of sunglasses or whatever. Then everybody's like, I want to be like so-and-so. I better get me a pair of those Pit Viper sunglasses. Okay? Which are hideous. But anyway. I could walk out to my son's truck and get a pair.
So it's like Supreme, basically.
All right, so let's think about this. What if milk makes you smarter? Now, more people, maybe people who weren't initially in the milk market, now they're going to want some milk, okay? So listen, so now that's putting more buyers in the market, right?
Yeah.
That's going to increase it, okay? So what we have is a new quantity demanded at each price. Okay, so what happens to our curve if we have a new quantity demanded at each price? Notice the prices are still the same, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but now because milk makes you smarter,
The demand is higher.
more people are going to want it, and because more people are going to want it, people are going to buy more of it at those prices.
Yeah.
Yes, question.
What is this called?
Hmm?
Like, it's a shifter, right? So what's
This
it
is a
called?
shifter. This is called consumer tastes. Okay, in other words, like a fad, just like a fad. I mean, or it could be back to Jarrett's cassette tapes. Okay, so then if we wanted to graph it, we see an increase in demand. Remember, what we say an increase is shown as on most economic graphs. An increase is a shift to the right. Okay? Now, don't say it's going to shift up. Did it?
Yeah.
Prices are the
So
same.
it's like
No, but the prices are the same, right? So it is truly a rightward shift, and that's how we say it. On economic questions, sometimes you're going to have to describe what happens. So you would say, okay, an increase in the quantity demanded at every price causes a rightward shift of the demand curve. Okay? That's how you would say that. I'll show you the notation for it later on. All right, so we have an increase in demand. Why is this an increase in demand and not an increase in quantity demanded? Because the quantity demanded increased at every price, didn't it?
Oh, okay.
Okay? But look, prices didn't change, but people want more milk. All right? Ready for another example?
Sure.
Yes.
It's good because am lactose intolerant.
It's good for you, huh?
Already balding.
All right, what if milk causes baldness?
Oh,
That's
no.
the answer.
I guess I'm gonna be bald.
All right.
Already bought.
Now what happens? No, I'm saying I shouldn't have drank so much milk.
So consumer just discussing.
All right. So what happens to quantity demanded here?
Everything got out.
Oh, wait. Now people aren't going to pay $5 for a gallon of milk at all.
Nobody?
It's funny that there's still 60 people who are
60 people at $1. But look, but
still willing to risk it.
I'll get it because
they're going to risk it, okay? But it's cheap, right? And you know, milk, it's an ingredient in recipes and stuff, and maybe a little milk doesn't cause that much balding. I don't know.
No, the
You
60
bet
people
your
are
ass
all
you
bald.
can drink it the next day,
much
all
milk
it's
do
just
you
on
drink?
the
They are all
Are you
bald.
still drinking it right now?
Soy milk is disgusting.
However, at my house, we do go through about a gallon of milk a day. So,
Same, bro.
all right, so now we have a decrease in demand. Again, this is under consumer taste, right?
Yeah.
We saw a headline, all right? And so there we go. Actually, that thing I alluded to about McDonald's, it had to do with Oprah Winfrey saying that, you know, beef is horrible and that kind of thing, and the demand for beef went down nationwide. It actually caused some serious problems for some of the and they had to discount their hamburgers and things like that because Oprah Winfrey was that much of an influencer.
Is she now?
All right. Did you say who is she? Oh my goodness. All right. So this is a decrease in demand. All right. Prices didn't change, but people want
If she said it now,
less
everybody-
milk. Okay? People want less milk. Does everybody understand? You see, a decrease in demand is a leftward shift.
If you buy me a car.
What?
I said, Oprah, I'll stop eating meat if you buy me a car.
There you go. You get a car and you get a car.
Now this year, you get a COVID. You get a
All right, so now I'm going to show you the difference on a graph. So everybody got
Or pay for my.
now understand it's a leftward shift, okay? A decrease is a leftward shift. All right, so here's a change in quantity demanded versus a change in demand. Okay, literally it's just showing that with a change in demand, the quantity demanded at $3 is more, right? Because there's increase in demand. Whereas a change in quantity demanded literally follows a change in price. Yes?
So like on a graph that we do, we don't have to put like the little arrows at the end.
You do really want to do that, okay? There's different ways to do it. I always want to cover all the bases. You need to put D1 or D and then D1, but always do it consistently, okay? I like going with D1, D2. That way I know where the story starts. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay? And just to cover my bases, I would put arrows like this. Okay?
I meant like
Also,
I meant like the actual like line.
oh, here, no, that's not required. Now, here's the thing. If we say the quantity demanded, let's say if the price changed, if it dropped from $3 to $2, you'll want to put an arrow here. Or if it says it goes from $2 to $3, you put an arrow there. You want to show all the movements, all the shifters and things like that on the graph, okay? So, any questions there?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay, so here's the thing. Tomorrow we are going to have a quiz on this joy. Okay, on Schoology I've uploaded videos from Mr. Clifford, actually the guy who made this fantastic PowerPoint that we're using. Okay, and also there's a practice worksheet that you're going to have for homework. It's on Schoology, okay? I do have some copies printed. They're down in the teacher's lounge, but it's on Schoology. After when they release seniors, I'll walk down there and get them if you want a paper copy. Okay? So
paper copy you have to turn in
A paper
tomorrow
copy
morning.
of what?
yeah.
Okay, I'd rather have it.
Well, I mean, I want it turned in tomorrow morning because I want to see before, like, where you are before the quiz. Like, if I need to go back over this. So do it tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. The quiz is tomorrow. Okay? But it is on Schoology, but I'll give you a paper copy if you want it. All right, guys.
Have you put the